Hello students, this is Gopila from Department of Computer Science with Cyber Security, Dr. S.N.S. Rajalakshmi College of Arts and Science. Today we are going to discuss about variables and the scope of variables. So a variable is a value holder that is used for carrying a particular value inside a program. The variable is used for not only holding a value, it is used for performing some operations with the help of some operands. There are variables like global variables, local variables, etc. A local variable is a function that has its own variables. Local variables are used only within a program or only within a function. Each execution of the function uses a new set of local variables. All the local variables are ceased to exist when the function returns some values. The parameters of that particular local variables are also local and it can be used for a particular function. So each function can define its own local variables. So the local variables can be within a function. Each execution of function uses a new set of locals. Local variables are also used within a function but not outside the function. So the example is here. The data type of this particular variable is double and it holds a parameter called as d, but the variable here is called as circle area. The function used here is also called as double and it is using a variable called as radius and area. Radius is d by 2.2 and area is 3.4 into radius, and also it returns the value of the area function. So we have to keep in note that the identifiers are also the variables that is used for formal parameters and locals, but it is not recognized outside the function. The names of the formals and actual arguments are differs in these functions. A value returning a function is being included in an expression. A function with a return type t can be used anywhere in the expression, whereas the function of the local variables cannot be used outside an expression inside a function. So returning also returns that a particular function can be reached with this returning function. At last it can be holding some value that can return something in a variable. A function can be defined as a function with another function nested with the function. A function can call itself. The loop gets recursive call until the stack is getting full. Once the stack is getting full, it will come out of the function. So some of the examples of functions which we have discussed. A scope of a variable. A variable holds the scope that the value of the variable can be used anywhere. The scope of the variables are within the block in which the variable is defined. A block is a group of statements that is enclosed with braces. The local variables is used when the function is defined. If we have two local variables or two local functions, but they differ in different variables. Global variables declared outside the functions and it is entire by the program and hidden in a block if the local variables are same. The scope of the variable can also be a default, but it is hidden with a block, and the name of the variable can also be defined in a function. So this is an example of a function where a is equal to 1, a void main and main procedure where b percentage d of a, my void procedure into a equal to 2, a equal to 2, a equal to 3, and the print of a equal to a. We have the scope of the variable and the globe of the variable. That hides the globe a. That holds a equal to 3 and also it's called as a equal to 1. We have an example that it compute GCD of two numbers. We have two variables called as a, b and temp. When we compare these two variables, the function used here is temp and it is assigning a value to a variable called as a and b by swapping those variables. Where temp is assigned, that is a is assigned to a variable called as temp, whereas b is assigned to a. Okay, the temp is assigned to b. At last, temp value holds the value of a. While we discard the b with a, we have the function the print of GCD is called as a. Initially we have the example that a equal to 12 and b equal to 45, and after the first iteration we have temperate variable is equal to 9, b equal to 12, whereas a equal to 9. When we go for iteration 2, it is temp equal to 3, b equal to 9 and a equal to 3. At last the GCD is 3. So when we compute the GCD of two numbers, we can also be used for the function ampersand x and ampersand y for getting the input from the user, and it is also used for getting the input from the particular function too. Thank you students for listening what is mean by a variable and the scope of the variables.